listening to
Split the Defense.
Leafs Postgame Edition.
Split the Defense.
Is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004. Serving the Kingston and surrounding areas. Alongside co-host Craig Pearce and producer Ted Evans, here's your host, Jordan Webster.
What up, what up? Welcome to Split the Defense post-game for the Leafs. I'm Webby with CP and producer Ted. Leafs lose 4-3 to the New York Islanders. But, you know, at least they got the loser point because that's how the game works. So at least they got one tonight. Yeah. Before we get too far into this, please take a second, drop a like on this episode, subscribe to our YouTube, rate it 5 stars on whatever podcasting platform you're consuming from. So the pregame setup, Noah Gregor is back in. Robertson scratched. Holmberg still has the spot, which we kind of expected. Samsonov is back. Dennis Hildeby has been sent back, but Jones was still making the start. Not sure when Samsonov will be back. Getting into the game, Austin Matthews gets tripped real early and then trips former Leaf Matt Martin. 40 seconds in on a New York Islander power play, Palmieri opens the scoring, beating Jones on the power play on a rebound. Then, later on in the first period, Bobby McMahon one-times a pass from Gregor for a beauty fourth-line goal, 1-1. What an absolute great finish from that line. That was awesome to see. In the second period, Marner behind the net sends the puck out front. Matthews drags it past Sorokin, backhands it into the net, 2-1. That's Matthews' 32nd on the year. Holmberg one-hand strips the puck and leaves the puck in an open space for Matthews all alone. He makes it 3-1.
One hand again. Doing stuff with one hand, eh? Is it one
hand
Holmberg?
He only needs one. It's crazy.
Apparently.
One hand Holmberg, yeah. So after that, the game's 3-1. Romanov snipes on Jones, top shelf from the faceoff dot, 3-2. This is all less than 5 minutes into the second. Later on in the period, Liljegren takes a high-sticking penalty and the Islanders' power play capitalizes. Noah Dobson wires one from the point, 3-3. Shots are tied 26-26 to end the period. So no one scores in the third period, and the game requires overtime for the league-leading 16th time for the Toronto Maple Leafs this season. And it did not end in their favor. Matt Barzal, with a funny face-off win off the boards, bumps out to the middle. Shot, tip, and the game is over in overtime. Leafs take home a loser point, and that's all they get. My initial reactions to the game are I really wanted them to win this one because I really have it in my mind that they still have a chance at the division somehow, some way. But after not taking 2 tonight, it's going to get even harder. They're 1 game back of Florida, and they're still 4 points back of them before you can even start looking at Boston to win this division. It's the Islanders. They're really tight checking, and we expected this team to be a little harder, right? Like the Leafs kind of came off this California swing, and I did say I wonder how much that affects them. It didn't look like they weren't trying or anything. I just wonder how much playing good teams in the next few weeks is going to up their level of play going forward after that, because when you were able to get away with things, that maybe sneaks into your game a little bit, and you think you can do things and score in certain situations when you probably won't. And tonight, the Islanders gave them nothing. Like, that's pretty much what you get all the time. Thank God for Austin Matthews. But besides that, like, I mean, the Islanders are a lot better, and they're actually scoring goals this year, too. So, like, between the tight checking and them knowing how to score now, that was definitely a better opponent to see, and at least they stuck with them. At least they didn't get blown out, so that was nice to see.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I was really hoping for a win just because coming off the weekend, off the week, I guess, also. Getting, like, really good games, good performances, but obviously against, not the greatest of teams. The Islanders, to me, they're not, like, an awesome regular season team, and they're kind of weird because they've changed their, like, identity so much in the last couple of years because they're, like, a bit looser of a checking team than they were when they had, like, the days previously, but they like they get a lot of pucks on net. They're more like, I think their style will succeed more in the playoffs than maybe in regular season, just because they're not relying on like possession and things that the Leafs rely on that typically go away playoff time. So I thought it was a good test, regardless if they're like a really top team or not. And yeah, good, I guess, good performance and all. Like the game was about like the big mistakes to me. I felt like they were pretty even like throughout the whole game, but like Gio makes two really big mistakes. Like McCabe on the overtime goal, like big mistake. It's just like those things are what hurt you, and like you said, like you can get away with those when you're playing like the San Jose Sharks, where like when you're playing basically like a team not in your league, like they're not always going to capitalize, right? So, yeah, I don't know. It was, yeah, I just felt like all in all, like they played decent, but massive errors. And I mean, I love Gio, but he's going to be the guy that gets replaced on this lineup, unfortunately. And depending on how quickly that, happens, he might be like a 50% type of guy sharing the time, but he always has the right mindset. Like the first one, he is behind his net and he has a clear opportunity to clear it out of the zone, and he just puts it in the wrong spot, and like he knew it immediately, and even as soon as the goal goes in, like he reacts really, negatively. You can tell that he knew it was his fault, right? And then on the
negatively, he was fucking pissed.
yeah. And actually that was the second one. Actually, the first one was the like power play one right off the hop. And that one, like, he's just caught just standing there. And like, I don't know if he doesn't know like he's got to know what he's supposed to do. He's either has to take the man or you're clearing the front of the net. And he's doing neither. He's just kind of standing there. So I bet you that he looks at this game like he, wants it back. But it's just one of those things.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Into the Isles for checking. They had looser checking, you want to say, but the Leafs, they really do have that possession style where they pass the puck backward and regroup and regroup and regroup until they're comfortable to bring it up and get it in comfortably and safely. And the Isles tonight gave them absolutely no time and space to work with that. Every single time they would chase them right to the back of the net. Like they were just chasing them, sending a guy. There was never a wait and I'll maybe pick it off later. They were constant pressure, constant pressure. The Islanders' style is not a possession team. You're right. They're throwing pucks on net a lot. And the type of teams that the Leafs seem to struggle against are those types of teams. Like they can play, if you want to play the Leafs game, the Leafs will beat you at that game. But if you have that different style, dump and chase and grind, the Leafs really do have a tough time with that, with the defenders that they do have. You've seen a lot tonight, a lot of struggle to get the puck out when it was good, when the Islanders would go in, because there was so much pressure. Everybody was constantly pressured and had to make a pass that they didn't want to make. A pass that they just needed a half second more to get a little more on. Or like they couldn't get anything going tonight because they had no time, they had no space from that Islanders forechecking.
Yeah, and it's a better test than most teams because it is a style that's like the playoffs. And like you said, like it might be an eye opener because like, we just lost to a team that plays like most teams play in the playoffs. So, there's maybe a bigger message here. And I know it was an overtime loss, so it's, it's not like they, if they lost 4-2, it would have been a different feeling. But I really wanted this one just based on the style. And yeah, like their whole game plan is just forecheck. Like you said, like their defensive plan and their offensive plan. Like if they have the puck, they don't want it. They're just throwing it down into your zone so they can forecheck and get something like some weird bounce, some sort of play, get possession for a second. So like Barzal, it seems like he's their only guy that really controls play like we're used to. He's plays a kind of similar, like kind of in between like Mitch Marner and William Nylander in my mind. Circles the zone a lot, but is mostly looking for a pass or and he did get the goal in the end. But
yeah. Give me a second on Barzal here.
Yeah.
Tonight he shot the puck, and I wonder how much he likes this system of everybody tipping the puck and all the time getting in the way and stuff. Because there was I watched tonight. He made a shot and somebody tipped it and it went high. and I didn't see anything. Later on, he shoots one, like fires the puck. It was like that one that bounced up in the slow roller, and he waited for it, and then he blasted on it. If you can remember that shot from Matt Barzal. Well,
Not
Kyle
really.
Palmieri, well, it was going
yeah,
right over
yeah.
Jones's shoulder, and
Right.
Kyle Palmieri goes skates by and tips it up over the net.
Yeah.
And Barzal's like, oh, like, and
Yeah.
like you gotta wonder, is that how he saw it too? Because to me in the replay, it looked like he was wiring one past Jones, and his teammate just tips it wide than that.
That's funny.
Like, guys, you don't have to tip everything. The guy can shoot them in.
Yeah.
Like,
He's way more happy with this style of play. Like it seems he's back to where he was like in his rookie year, where, you know, he had more freedom to, you know, do whatever he wanted offensively. And they seem to lean on him in that sense, you know, like they're not a bunch of like power play killers and things like that. So like they're leaning on Barzal to make those shots. And you know, if you're one of the few guys that kind of plays that style, like, you know, some guys are, you know, if all the guys do are tip pucks in front, like that's going to happen time to time, right? Like not all tips are good, but for the most part, I'm sure he benefits from them a lot, right? He's not necessarily a goal scorer, so he needs those guys to at least, you know, put something on the puck before it gets to the net, you know?
yeah, absolutely.
You want a tip? Plant your corn in the spring. Here's a good tip.
Nice one. That's a great tip.
Thanks, producer Ted.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Farmer Ted.
So Austin Matthews, league leading 33rd goal of the year, was his 19th goal in the past 17 games.
Wow.
That now ties him with Ron Ellis for 4th all-time goals scored as a Leaf. And he becomes the second player to record 70 career multi-goal games with the Maple Leafs, behind only Daryl Sittler.
Unreal.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Unreal.
Yeah.
So Matthews needs 67 goals this year total to tie Dave Keon, I believe it is, next on the list.
Right.
Do we think he hits the 67 goal mark?
I mean, at this point, it seems like he wants that 70 goal mark. You know, he seems like he sets goals for himself at the beginning of the year. He's always said that every year there's like personal goals that he sets, and then there's the team goal that's always the same. And so, like, you know, maybe that's like the feather in his cap that he's looking for. And he's not necessarily doing it in a selfish way. It's just like, you know, first season being healthy, and, you know, and he's on a mission here. Even like the 2 goals that he got tonight, like not like the typical goals you see from Matthews, right? Not like a, you know, one-timer from the corner or like the snipes he's been doing from basically behind the net recently. Yeah, really nice play in front. He scores in so many different ways. So, I mean, I just hope that this keeps on continuing. And I'm a guy that doesn't necessarily like care about the big numbers. Like, I just want him to be in this form, and it's when it comes playoff time. And it seems like he is able to turn it on. And we've been missing that for previous years, but like if he decides that he needs a couple goals, like he can decide to do it. And William Nylander has that ability too. Actually, one of my notes here is William Nylander, his like big miss on defense was one of those other big errors I forgot to mention. But yeah, Matthews just I'm going to say that he hit 70 just because, like, I think it might be his personal goal. You know, 65 actually might have been more realistic because he only beat 60 last time. But, you know, passing 65 with a few games to go, and I'm sure he'll set his eyes on it.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think it's unfathomable. Like, he could definitely hit it. 67. The only thing is like, why would you want him to hit 67 goals? 67 is not a Leafs lucky number.
No,
It's
he'll get a
been
hat trick in the
unlucky ever
last game
since.
if he needs to.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. So Martin Jones, if he comes into this game tonight and he posts another 1-goal game or a shutout game, he's the Leafs starter going forward still. And there's no doubt. And Samsonov doesn't even get a shot for a while. But now Samsonov's back. And Jones just let in 4 tonight, albeit in overtime. Does Sammy get obviously not the next game against the Avs, but is he going to get a game maybe right after that? When do you think
Yeah, they go
Samsonov's going to be
back-to-back,
back?
don't they?
Yeah, they have a back-to-back coming up. It's interesting. I've heard a few people mention that this might just be to get Hill to be an AHL start, and so you send him back down, and you need someone to be the backup. So I am not convinced that he's actually going to get a start, and maybe Hill gets the back-to-back coming up. The thing that is Jones didn't like. It's not that he played bad tonight. All the goals were like there was a significant error that led to them, and I wasn't screaming like make a save, so I don't think he's at all lost his spot as the starter. Like Sammy's still a ways off from doing anything close to taking it back from him. So it'd be a big message, I think, to like where their mindset is about Hildeby, what they do with that back-to-back game. Because I think that Jones probably plays up until that point, and then you'll I think that they would be scared to give Hildeby a start if they don't put him in. Like that would be my mindset about it. Because like at this point, I think that I know Samsonov hasn't done anything to say that he's ready for this, other than just sitting out. Like there has, I guess, been some work behind the scenes, but hasn't had any games. So like I'm based on his last performance, like I don't know, he's not in the question for me. So I don't know. It'll tell me a lot though about the mindset about about Hildeby rather than their mindset about Samsonov.
No, that makes a lot of sense. We don't know if he's gonna even play a game here, because once a player is waived, he has either 30 consecutive days on the roster, and that's days on the roster, or 8 games played, and that's
right.
And if he doesn't play games and it's not 30 days, then they can send Hildeby down. He gets his games, comes back. Samsonov goes back for another week of work, and Hildeby gets the game on Sunday against the Red Wings. That actually seems conceivable. But the last time we talked about that, I picked up Hildeby in fantasy, and he didn't play at all.
Yeah.
So
I'm
not listening to you at all.
No, yeah, fair enough. The thing is,
So
we play
it
Colorado.
It might
next.
happen, folks, okay? It's not a guarantee. It might happen. CP has a great point, and we think it could happen, but don't go picking him up on fantasy and resting your hat on it like I did.
Last time I vouched for it hard, and you didn't.
Yeah,
I think you
was
picked
like,
him
"Oh,
up
I'm all
like,
in."
We're like,
oh,
oh,
yeah,
he's
and you held him
Oh,
for
yeah.
the rest of the week too.
Oh, heck yeah. I was like,
Just
maybe
in
he gets a
case,
start. Maybe he gets a
Yeah.
start.
Make the ad worth it. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Well, exactly.
But yeah, we
And
play Colorado next though, right?
Yeah.
So like Jones is starting the next game in my mind. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I mean
absolutely.
he's been playing well, but I think playing against the Avs, that we've been saying it leading up to this, it's either going to expose him for what he really is. Either he's been getting lucky or something, or he plays really well against them and shuts down this high scoring Avs team, and we're like, he is him. And that's what I'm sure you guys are hoping for. I'm hoping we just light him up like a Christmas tree, obviously. But
I think it's going to be a
that's
high-scoring
nothing
affair.
personal. That's just Avs.
Yeah, both teams don't necessarily have the best goaltending, so like you're probably right, Webby. Like it's probably gonna be like 6-4. I don't want to say for who, but I mean,
Yeah.
wouldn't be
It
surprised.
could go either way, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
and
the game will be like 2-2, and then there'll be a turning point. And then
Yeah.
it could be Nate McKinnon streaking out the ice and just burying one himself. But yeah, that'll be probably our most fun game of the year, because
can't
we are
wait for
going to
that.
be here breaking that down probably for much longer than our normal
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Be prepared for 45 to an hour on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably be saying a little more than I usually do on these
Yeah.
Strictly Leaf shows. When it's Leafs Avs, oh man.
Yeah.
Producer
Hopefully
Ted,
we
I'll be
can get a
muting
win.
You guys. I'll be like muting you guys. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm talking. Like, is it-
Mute.
this. Yeah, mute it.
Nice.
Kick you
Hopefully
out.
we can get a win so producer Ted gets all pissed off.
Yeah.
We get some
Yeah.
good content out of him.
Kick you both
Yeah,
out
there
of
might
the
not be-
studio. I'm just
might
sitting
be
here,
just-
like, pouting.
Yeah, that need to be a half-hour show because then you had nothing to say. Just like,
Yeah. That'd be
Come
great.
on.
yeah.
That's awesome. All right, so what else you got there, CP?
Yeah, our $11.5 million man not looking so hot on defense. I mean, was it? I think it's the second goal. I had it written somewhere, but yeah, just absolutely that. It's exactly the William Nylander move from like a couple years ago, where he's most definitely just one hard stride from getting his stick on the puck almost even touching the player, and no effort. Like, I don't know. It's funny because he'll say that he was out of energy, but I bet you if that puck got chipped out of the net or out of the zone and he could have a breakaway, like he would have been down there like a lightning bolt. So I don't know. It's just disappointing that we're still seeing that. And I think the team has to know that this was like more of an important game than the last few. So I don't know. William, like, use his full name. William, you're not. I'm disappointed in you tonight. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. He's just such a love-hate guy for me. It's just Austin Matthews would have had his stick on that puck, no question.
Yeah, that's fair. We do see that from Willie, and that is what we worried about Willie before he signed this $11.5 million. But it's everything else. If he could also do that, he would make Matthews money.
Right.
And
it's
that's
like
the thing.
That's the $1.5 million discount from.
That's the $1.5 million discount right there. Million 1.75 is what it actually is.
Yeah,
but
he would have had the energy if there was that 1.75.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just have money flying out his ass, just flying up the ice.
I mean, he still does. Like,
He still
Well,
does, yeah.
Yes,
come
yeah.
on, boys. Let's
He just
be
doesn't have it
realistic.
flying it
Let's be
out on
real here.
defense.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, but it'd be nice to see that kind of defensive effort from Willie, and that's what I've complained about time and time again, is that if William Nylander just thought he was in the offensive zone, you just put virtual goggles on him so he thinks it's always the offensive zone. And then you just turn him off when he finally gets the puck. Like, oh, you're in your own zone, you're in your own zone. He goes, okay. Yeah.
Just have a floating red line.
Because he'd just be flying around the whole zone all the time, just like so confidently, cocky, grabbing in there, grabbing the puck, doing his thing. But he doesn't. And, like, he's a human too. You wonder, like, he looks effortless. So we think, well, he could just do it. I wonder if he gets gassed too. Like, I mean, is he hurting? Is he blocked a shot? Is he taking a hit? Is there something that is preventing, like, that he's like, I don't want to give it on every single moment because it hurts. So I'm only going to do it when I have to, or like when I have the opportunity to score, because if I skate down the ice and I have to skate that far and he beats me anyways, then I could hurt myself. Who knows, right? There's just so many things. Like, I'm going to blame it on he could even be tired, right?
Yeah.
Simple as that. But, like, Willie's just known for that all over. That you see him, and maybe that's a big thing I just thought of. He could be taking too long of shifts. He could be out there for too long, and that could be a Willie problem. That's something Keith has said is a problem with the team, is that they need to clean up, is their shifts. They're bad at line changes. They need to be better getting off when, like, on time, early, so that way they're not exhausted when they're out there. And quite a few times tonight, Leafs lines were stuck out there for too long. And it could be a thing with Willie. You get out there stuck too long, you have no wheels. So then he's thinking, instead of thinking, well, I'm just going to take every ounce of energy and will his way down there. Should will his way down there, but he doesn't. He just goes, I should go for a line change because I'm not at 100%. But he should take into consideration that you at 75%, William Nylander, is probably still fast enough to get down there and win that puck. And like, even if you put your effort in, even if you can't come back up the ice for a scoring chance after, like, fucking protect the net, protect your end, go ahead and do it. Like, it's pretty standard in hockey. Like, you go and get the puck when you don't fucking have it. So, like, I just hate to see William Nylander go, but my legs are tired. It's like, but like, you don't have anything left, and like and the crazy thing is, like, why we love William Nylander in the playoffs? Because he doesn't pull that shit. He doesn't pull that shit in the playoffs. Those games fucking matter, and he knows it. And he goes in full blast, and he tries, always plays hard defensively, always stick checking on the back check, doing very well, stealing pucks and turning them around. And it's just shit that we miss during the middle of the regular season, during these dog days. Like, let's be honest with ourselves here, boys. We're in the dog days of the hockey season now. From now until about the trade deadline, things are going to get slower. Right?
Yeah.
The guys are going to get slower. Things are going to seem kind of dragging along. The games are going to seem kind of meaningless. But it's that, and that's kind of how the guys look at it on the ice. And that's really how it is with Willie every single year. So, like, 11.5 was paid, all God knowing that this is already how he is. Not expecting him to just lose this. The 11.5 was, yeah, we know he's like that, but he's still so good. We're going to give him 11.5.
Yeah, and get him to the playoffs, and he'll do wonders for us.
Yeah, he has built up like a lot of goodwill with the team or with fan base. Like, just there's a lot less uncles out there yelling because he has been one of our better players in playoff time, right? And that's why, you know, the message has switched more to Mitch Marner this year because doesn't have that goodwill that Willie does, and doesn't have really the ability to turn it on at any point that he wants to. So yeah, he definitely the games I also give him a lot of passes. Like, it's not the first time he's gonna have a piss poor play in his own zone this year, and it's not the last time either. So yeah, you are right. Like, we do have this history that we can look back on. So we got to kind of rely on that.
Absolutely.
What
else you got there, CP? I'm out.
You're out. My only thing was like it's funny that McCabe he gets the start in overtime, and that's kind of like a newer thing that Keefe's been going to, and I understand the concept of going with him over Riley because you're putting Mitch and Matthews out there who should be able to control the play without much help from McCabe, and then you have Riley later to put on. But I think it's just one of those where I questioned it right off the hop, and like tonight was my first time where I was like, "What? Just put Riley out there." It was the same thing of why when we weren't putting Matthews out, it's just like put your best guys out, and then McCabe's actually the reason why we lose. So I just questioned that decision.
Why fuck with a good thing, Keefe? Always. Tinker Bell. Like, he's just got to fuck with everything. Like, just mix and match and play around. And, David Kampf starting overtime before. Like, okay, David Kampf cannot start overtime. Like, it's a big riot. It goes across all social media, and it's a big story. David Kampf can't be starting overtime. So we get Matthews and Marner out there to start in overtime. What does he do? Instead of putting fucking Riley, he's like, no, let me mix it up. I have an idea.
Yeah. There's this thing I dreamt about.
Jake McCabe. What about Jake McCabe? It's like, come on, Keefe, guy. Like, just do what works. Like, works. But well, what if it doesn't work? Well, it does work. Most of the time it does work. Well, what if this is better? We don't know. We haven't tried it. Like, dude, this is not the time. And Jake McCabe isn't that kind of he has those underlying abilities. Like, Morgan Riley's, I don't know, is he? I don't know.
3-on-3 is different though. Like,
I was just gonna say, maybe he knows that he's a better 3-on-3 player. Maybe Morgan Riley suffers in 3-on-3 in practices and stuff like that, and that's why he plays him that way. But like, Morgan Riley with those two guys is the chemistry that we're used to, and that's the number one line. And I just don't know why he's got to go out there and mess around with it.
Yeah, overtime can last one shift. Like, it can happen within seconds of that starting faceoff. Exactly. So why not have your best three? Like, it just seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I know it's not.
Yeah, because you live in a fantasy. You don't live in a nice world. You live in a fantasy world over there where you just get to have everything, where it always works out, and they just make decisions that make sense instead of doing this crazy galaxy brain shit and living in Leafland where it's like, oh, let's give them something to talk about. Like, is this a soap opera? This is what it's turning into, like a reality TV show with this team. It's like, why are they doing this shit today?
A team of producers.
That's what it's called.
No, you can't do Riley. The fans, they'll be too complacent. Do something that'll piss them off. We need viewership here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how many sports radio talk we have to do?
Yeah, exactly. We have hours of content filled tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous that it always seems to be something funny that we're messing around with the lines. Like, I get it. You're the coach and you make the decisions because you know best. But like, in my mind, when you've seen something that works, let it go. And if you have a couple of guys that keep scoring in overtime, or like, basically what happens is the line that scores in overtime last time should be the next line that goes out the next time in overtime. That's who goes out first. You guys scored last time.
Go with the hot hand.
Yeah, exactly. That's the last time we played 3-on-3. You guys scored the first goal, so we're putting you out. And then if somebody else scores, they get to start overtime next time. That would make the most sense, don't you think?
I'm just like, your best players that you think are your best, I think you go with every time. Like, I wouldn't want to even switch it up that much. Just Don't overthink it.
I'm not calling
Matthews,
Max
Marner.
Domi and
Best
Calle
winger, best
Yarncroke getting a lucky one. What if those two guys get a lucky one? We're not going to put those guys in again.
Right.
I'm saying still say
Yeah.
it's your Matthews and Marner pair, or it's your Tavares and Nylander pair, or it's you have Matthews and Nylander out there for some reason together, and that's just how it worked out. However combination that worked. Put that back out next time. Just put that back out. You're going to get lucky ones from your other players like Max Domi and Calle Yarncroke and other players like that, but that's not what I was talking about. I meant when you have the big guys going, put the big guys out there that are doing it, and the defenseman that goes out there and is on the ice for the goals. Was the last time they scored in overtime, was Jake McCabe the defenseman that was on for a goal? I don't know. Is this new? How new is this Jake McCabe thing playing out in overtime? Because really, I noticed who plays at the beginning of the period when the puck drops. But besides that, when guys shift on and off, I lose a lot of guys, and I'm not quite checking numbers all the time. So maybe he's played more overtime than we think.
Oh, he plays a lot of overtime. He's the second overtime defenseman. And then Liljegren would be the third guy if they had to, if the other two were gassed. But yeah, it's Riley and McCabe. Those typically are the guys. I just want Riley out there. It's just, I don't know. I guess it's, maybe he is doing what you're saying, and maybe the team even likes it that way. I don't know, but I thought I wanted Riley out there, and then it kind of bit them in the butt. But
yeah. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, my only other thing was that the third line sucked. They had a bad game. I think they were 10% expected goals. It's really rough. I don't know. Something's gonna mix up. I know Holmberg got an assist, but it wasn't even on his line. He was the last guy out, just going off for a line change and stuck his stick in there. So I think that might be one of the bigger spots that the management's looking at. Domi might have to move back to the wing and get him a better centerman. I don't know. I think we all know that this management tried to re-sign Ryan O'Reilly at the beginning of the offseason. And so they probably are looking to replace that. There's no third line center at this point. Domi's been doing great for being a center winger guy, but without real line mates for him, it's tough for him to really generate anything. Calle Yarncroke's the one responsible guy in that line, but he can't be the reason why they're not in their zone all the time. And I think he's a perfect position for that right wing, but you either have to put Domi on the wing and get a centerman, or get a really heavy defensive winger to play on the wing with Domi. But I don't know. Holmberg's not necessarily doing it for me, and Robertson obviously never was either. So
yeah, I'm just not sure what's going to go on with that third line. It's they just got to click or something. Max Domi just has to work out. He's been good, not great, and we need him to be a step above good. Maybe somewhere between good and great. Groat.
One thing that it's similar to the Willie thing, though, that this fan base doesn't really know, is he's built up goodwill other places with his playoff performances. So he is kind of that guy who, he's a little bit grittier than your average guy. So he's not I'm not saying that I don't want him on this team or he's been bad. I just think that it hasn't been working. It's just a line that's just guys on it.
We need something to work with Max Domi. We need it to happen, because
Yeah.
I do not want that player to be playing somewhere else. I want it to be so obvious that he should be a Toronto Maple Leaf that they sign him next year to a multi-year deal and he sticks around, because I do like his game. But it seems to be well, what do? You put this guy with this, that doesn't quite fit with him. And then you put guys that we think would fit with him, and they're not exactly lighting the league up. So what do you do with Max Domi? I don't think Max Domi's ideal right winger is Calle Yarncroke. I just don't think it is. I think Max Domi would play better on a not as deep second line with more skilled players.
Yeah, I mean, you could move him somewhere else. I guess if you got a centerman, you could put him on the top line and put Knives on the third line, and you could really mix it up at that point. It's just, I don't know if they're looking to get they must be trying to get a centerman. It's just those are what cost the most, salary cap wise and asset wise. So nothing's for free, and you don't if this team's looking at getting a defenseman and then a centerman, and we were not really sure where the goalie situation's at all times. So, you can't just go out and buy
Could use a
everything.
winger
So.
just because too.
Yeah.
So we could
Yeah,
take one
sure.
of everything if you don't mind. Like,
Right.
One of
I'll just
everything,
have a
please.
combo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like,
Yes. Come up to the
so
window.
I don't know what they're gonna do, but it would be. I wish that Domi was like. I wish there's a missing piece here, and like I hate to say it, but like Sam Lafferty would be a really good mix up to this team that we just gave away for a 5th round pick. And
Yeah, I
like,
wonder what Vancouver want for Sam Lafferty.
yeah, like we'll give you a 4th. I don't know, like I don't know. But I just miss a guy like that at the moment where you could just mix things up a little bit because, Gregor and McMahon have kind of found a home with Camp on the 4th line, and we're missing a 3rd line type of guy, which Sam Lafferty absolutely was. And for some reason, we tried Fraser Minton here for a second and gave him away because of it. So I don't know. That's probably a mistake that we'll look back on. So.
Yeah, I think that at the beginning of the season, I'm not sure. Like, it's revisionist history. I feel like a
100%.
little bit of it is
Everything
is that we needed to get rid of Sam Lafferty because of the cap hit. That Fraser Minton made the $500,000 less, and that brought the Leafs just under what they needed to break that cap. So, like, you had to play a guy who was making $800 and some thousand, not 1.5 or 1.3 or whatever he was making, because that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Not necessarily. He could have fit on the roster, just not with Fraser Minton. Like, that's the thing, because Timmins got injured, so he was on IR, and then if you didn't have Fraser Minton, he did fit in there. It's just like you couldn't all have that experiment happen. So it's just that's the part where they really just wanted to do that, which at the time I was all for, right? Like everything I say
that's
is
not how I
revisionist
remembered
history.
it.
Oh
That's
yeah,
why
maybe
I
I'm
say
remembering it wrong. I don't know.
I remembered it as they needed to clear cap space, and the easiest and cheapest thing to do was get rid of a $1.5 million contract, which they have one of in Sam Lafferty. And so, like, I think the biggest mistake was signing David Kampf, because then too much money, and then you had to get rid of Sam Lafferty. Because if you just signed him to like 2 instead of 2.5, then you would have had a much better situation going forward with that 500,000, because then you could have had both, probably, right? Everything would have all worked out, but that's not how it worked out. They need somebody for Max Domi's line going forward. It's going to be a real test playing the Avs, who are a super deep team, going forward on Saturday here. Yeah. And like I think the first couple lines, like the top 6s on both teams, are going to play. Like, it's not going to be too crazy either way. I think they're both going to cancel each other out to a point. They'll both have their moments. But I think it's once we get down to the 3rd and the 4th lines. And I think our 4th line actually might compete. But I really think that 3rd line's an issue, and it's really going to be exposed against the 3rd line of the Colorado Avalanche. Because they are a possession-style team. But you know what they really like to do when they get into the bottom 6? They like to throw the body. And they like to be tough, right? Like, Bednar likes that shit. So he's going to be probably pushing, oh, look, this is how the Leafs can't play. Go and do that against them. And then the top 6 will do their own thing. And you're going to see more of the same of tonight. So really that 3rd line needs something. And hopefully it's not just cemented because we get caved by the 3rd line in the next game. But hopefully it's shown enough that we can see, that management can see that they really need to make a move sooner than later. We are in the middle of January now. We're about 2 months away from the trade deadline. So something can be done anytime in the next month is trade season here. And I think it's about time to start evaluating who that person is that they're going to bring in to make that 3rd line a playoff-style whole 3rd line. Do you have anything else there, CP?
Don't think so, no.
All right. Well, yeah, so looking forward. We got the Leafs and the Avalanche Saturday. We'll be here again after post-game reactions as usual. That's a wrap for today. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like the podcast, subscribe, click 5 stars on all the platforms, and follow us everywhere else. Find us on X at STDP Hockey and search for Split the Defense on all other socials. Until next time, peace.
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 you've been listening to
Split the defense.
Leafs Postgame Edition. Hosted by Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, and producer Ted Evans.
Split the defense.
Is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004. Serving the Kingston and surrounding areas.